CBC Sports.
This afternoon, Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford will step onto the ice in Boston to defend their World Pairs title. To repeat as champions is no easy feat. It takes a fighter's mentality to reclaim what was yours and what everyone else wants. After a season-best short program, they sit in second place. Last year's silver medalists Sui and Han from China skated brilliantly on Friday and are in the lead in pursuit of a first world title. And in their comeback season, Sochi Olympic champions and former world title holders Tatiana Volososhar and Max Trankov are third. The moment of truth has arrived. Can Duhamel and Radford repeat as world champions? Road to the Olympic Games is brought to you by RBC, proud supporter of the Olympic movement in Canada. Boston is the kind of city that resonates a little bit of the old world in New England. Today, as skating spring summit builds towards a climax, everything comes together at center ice. It's all about the timeless tradition that is pairs figure skating. This can be a tricky business, but when it's done right, it leaves a lasting impression. Hello everyone and welcome to Boston, the ISU World Figure Skating Championships on CBC. I'm Scott Russell. You know, when it comes to pairs figure skating in Canada, there's great legacy at work. A bevy of world champions, the Jelenics, Underhill, Martini, Brasseur and Eisler, Saleh Pelche, and the current world champions, Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford. They're in second place right now after the short program, but they're close and they've come to Boston with the express intent of repeating as world champions. And here's a little bit of history for you. No Canadian pairs team has repeated as world champion since way back 1957. They won 4 in a row, right up to 1960, Barbara Wagner and Robert Paul. And so when Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford go to the ice, they'll be trying to leave a lasting impression, but they do so knowing they're already a huge part of the great Canadian pairs figure skating tradition. This could be fun. Let's go up to the booth. Andy Petrillo, Kurt Browning, and Carol Lane.
Scott, we're looking forward to it, and Megan and Eric have been on a tear since the Sochi Olympics last season, going undefeated and then, yes, winning the world title. And they know they can do it again because they're not that far behind the Chinese pair. In fact, this is great. All 3 Canadian pairs in the top 10. This season, however, for Duhamel and Radford, a couple hiccups here and there. Started off strong, but unable to defend their Grand Prix final title. Could not defend the 4 Continents title. They had to pull out because she was ill, but they were pumped. After that short program, they know they're within striking distance.
Well, Megan and Eric had the kind of skate yesterday that's given them the mindset to potentially go out and ace the long today. It wasn't totally perfect, but it's put them in the position of being able to attack that first spot, not defend it.
I completely agree with you. I've got a little insider knowledge.
Of course you do, of course you do.
Well, of course it tells me that this was the hard part for this week, and if they could get through the short program, they love momentum, and that momentum from the short is going to carry into the long. I completely agree with you. Now they just have to show us that we're right.
And I loved her face. I loved the fist pump. You knew they loved it. There we go. Finally, because it has been that short program that's been giving them some problems. They nailed it. They're not that far behind the Chinese pair that's leading the way. Wei Jingsui, Chang Hong. I'm going to say it again because I said it the entire time during their short program. You did. I'm amazed by her. Her camp has said she has completely torn ligaments in her ankle. She's going to need surgery in the offseason. Never mind walking. She's skating, and they're in the lead.
Well, not only that, it was a picture-perfect skate for them yesterday. So the question for me is today, how are they going to handle that pressure? Behind them, Olympic champions, Olympic silver medalists, world champions. That's a lot to carry on your shoulders going in.
Now I'm intimidated.
I know, scary stuff.
Here's what they have to do. Keep their eyes on each other and trust what they've been doing to get them to the point they're in right now. They were spot on perfect in the short. Just do it one more time. I love this team. I really do.
Me too. Yeah, Keith, don't look over your shoulder and see all those people behind you. And yes, sitting in the third position are the Olympic gold medalists, Volosojar and Trankov. This is their first World since 2013 when they actually won the title, but they said it feels like the first time for them being at Worlds, which was back in 2011. So really, like we saw with the men, this is anybody's game. And there are the Canadians who hope anything can happen as well for them, sitting 8th. That is Lubov Ilyashishkina and Dylan Moskovich, finished 13th at last year's Worlds. And already things are happening for Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marnauer, who we're going to see shortly, because they are here at the Worlds together for the first time as a pair.
Let's welcome to the ice Vanessa James and Morgan Seabray.
5-time national French champions, Vanessa James, Morgan Seacrest, sitting 9th after the short. And we've often said that these two are very strong single skaters, and they're also the skaters we say do really well in practice. But what can they do in competition? And let's see if they can build off a strong short program.
Have a very different look for their free program. Their short was very modern and edgy. Vanessa in a wonderful bodysuit. Now we go with the more traditional Romeo and Juliet.
Powering down the ice, carrying tons of speed.
And mistiming the side-by-side triple jumps, got very far apart before they went into them. Couldn't help with seeing one another and knowing when the other one was going.
And it's hard enough for the judges to watch both skaters at the same time, but when they split far apart like that, quad south throw. Great effort, a stab at history. I don't believe anybody's ever really done quad south throw before. Boy, she looked good in the air, didn't she?
Gutsy of them to try it because they've never actually done it in a competition situation yet.
Well, they're trying to break into the top echelon of pairs. And sometimes it's the Hail Mary pass, or in this case, maybe the throw quad south pass.
For a second side-by-side triple jump. This time the Salchow.
Misfire on behalf of Vanessa, so she will only do 2 revolutions, and what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and the judges will only take the lowest denominator, which means they will, as a team, score only a double Salchow. Very difficult for the man to stop the rotation still. Takes a lot of strength and connection between what's going on above you and what's going on below you, your feet. A lot of core work.
big trend in figure skating this year to have lyrics talking over the music. How do you find that, Kurt?
I haven't
Good
found
or
that
bad?
I've enjoyed it yet.
No,
at all.
me either.
Doesn't mean it can't work. Just haven't seen it work yet. There's a calm vibration between the top teams, the man and the woman. And these guys still have a kind of a frantic physicality to them. Moments like that where they're really amazing. Obviously, they can land the quad sow at home. They wouldn't be trying it. Potential, but they've got to calm down their synergy.
Vanessa James and Morgan Cypress of France, 5-time national champions. She does not look too happy with that. But we'll see if they can improve on their 9th place after the short when we return. Welcome back. We just finished watching the skate of Vanessa James and Morgan Cypress of France, 5-time national champions, 4th at this year's Euros. What did you think?
Well, they had a lot of little mistakes in the program that are going to add up to a big mistake in the end. The side-by-side triple jumps, as you can see, they misfired. They didn't go at the same time. Then one of them put their hand down. And that means they'll take a huge hit on that element. It was under-rotated as well. And you lose 2-3 points just by doing that.
Fully rotated quad sow. She just couldn't unravel those beautiful long legs of hers. And just because you've got something in your bag of tricks doesn't necessarily mean it should show up at Worlds. And I feel like they were just kind of punching out of their weight zone. And too much. There was too much. You know, they couldn't keep up to their own talent. Almost.
It's a strategy decision, almost. Do you go for a cleaner, you know, slightly less difficult element and get a great grade of execution, or do you take the big risk? They took
or
the
do you
risk,
take
the big
one risk instead of 4?
Yes.
Well, they went for it.
Well, they did finish 9th at last year's Worlds. Their best placing at Worlds is an 8th place finish in 2013. So they can stay in the top 10. But what will their marks give them here, and if they can do that this year? So 119.14. Their season's best is 123.45. So off the mark, but they will be at the top at the moment. The pairs team from France. Let's head on over to Scott Russell.
Thanks very much, Andy. Today on RBC Training Ground, we're going to Gatineau, Quebec to check in on Tanya Bambi. She's a 21-year-old hurdler who has the chance to become Canada's next great Olympian. A couple of years ago, Bambi had to abandon her training. It was because of a funding issue. She couldn't afford to travel, and that forced her family into a difficult decision. Then again, the Bambi family has a history of making tough, life-changing decisions. Tanya Bambi making the most of a second chance to become Canada's next great Olympian. Tomorrow, RBC Training Ground goes to Toronto, and it's a decathlete story, that of Pierce Lepage. He's identified as having a chance to represent Canada at the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. The Pierce Lepage story tomorrow on RBC Training Ground.
5 meters to go for Aurélie Rivard of Canada. This will be gold medal number 6. And there's a world record clocking.
Pendleton in 6 could get the bronze, but Hoyt, watch the clock, 2:10.01, a new world record by 25/100ths of a second.
10 meters to go for Canada's Ryan Cochrane, your gold medalist in the men's 1500-meter freestyle.
And a reminder, we'll broadcast the Olympic swimming and diving trials as Canadian athletes try to book their tickets to Rio. It starts next week online at cbcsports.ca and on road to the Olympic Games. Coming up next, Canadians Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marinero as the World Figure Skating Championships continue on Road to the Olympic Games on CBC.
Welcome back to the World Figure Skating Championships, presented by RBC here in Boston. Lots of fans cheering for the Canadian pair that has just taken to the ice. Kirsten Moore-Towers, Michael Marinaro. She has been here before. This is her first time with her new partner at Worlds.
And the Montagues and the Capulets take the ice once again in a repeat Romeo and Juliet.
Why then, O brawling love, O loving hate?
Kirsten and Michael had a big fall at Nationals on their triple twist. They did it successfully in the short program. If they can do it here again today, it will be a big victory mentally for these two. And they do.
Big smile on Kirsten's face just before the launch. Right on the music cue. That's confidence. That can't hurt their chances of getting positive GOE when you got a big smile on your face just before a difficult element. That shows confidence.
Kirsten and Michael didn't expect to be at the World Championships. An injury to Canadian silver medalists Julianne Sagan and Charlie Bilodeau was unfortunate for them, but has enabled Kirsten and Michael to take their first step onto the world stage, and they're making the most of every moment.
Lovely little attachments to each other, connections made, keeping the story alive of the love affair.
They moved to train in Montreal alongside world champions Duhamel and Radford. They love the atmosphere there, where everybody is encouraged to do their best. Coaches Richard Gauthier and Bruno Marcotte and choreographer Julie Marcotte have created a wonderfully positive training environment.
Making the difficult look easy.
It's a measure of the improvement, how good that lift looked at the beginning of the season. They struggled with some of their lifts. They had what we might call a failure to launch. Not now. Everything's strong, firm, and secure.
I agree.
In only their second season together, the Canadians, Kirsten Moore-Towers, Michael Marinaro. She has been to Worlds before with her former partner, Dylan Moskovich, twice placing 4th. And now, let's see what she and her new partner can do. We'll have their marks when we return. Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marinaro of Canada. Looks like talking over once again their free skate there, their first World Championships together, and their second season together.
Well, the most improved award goes to that man right there. Michael has come a long way. The little 2-foot and set up the inability to continue for the combination right there. Basically, his ease is what's happening now. His shoulders are lower. You get the feeling that you can relax more into his job, which is to protect the girl, to put her up high on a pedestal and showcase her.
It's so nice. As we said, they had the terrible, terrible fall at Nationals. And that can get into your head and stay there. And knowing that you have to keep doing that element over and over again, she dislocated her ribs. I think they both dislocated their ribs. Massive bruising. I mean, it was just horrific. But they're gutsy, these two, and they've learned so much. Look at that great entry into the lift. Not just a big lift, but that entry as well. That's real. I've learned my lessons, you know. I know what I have to do. Michael was a different man on the ice today than I've seen all year.
And in the short program as well. I think that he had a look on his face. And you too, Kirsten, you were great as well.
Kirsten's awesome.
Yeah. We just take that for granted.
The smile you can see from
space. It's the Michael show.
Of course, it's always about improving their season's best. 111.68. And if they want to take the lead here, 119.77 is what they're looking for. They'll do that, and they'll set a season's best, 124.84 for a total of 190.90. The Canadians, Moore-Towers and Marinaro, are currently in the top spot. Here come now the former national champions of the United States, this year silver medalists, Alexa Semeka and Chris Kinarum, sitting 7th after the short program. And we've seen them perform this long program here throughout the Grand Prix season, and it is a powerful one. She will be taking on the character of Queen Elizabeth.
See, not the only powerful thing she'll be taking on. The very first element is a quad. But not a throw, not a jump. It's a twist. So when Chris lets go of Alexa, try and count the rotations. They'll be looking for a clean catch. And it's worth over 10 points. So it truly is a powerful weapon if they can land it. Or in this case, catch it. Nope, under-rotated. It's in the judges' hands to decide now.
Struggled a little bit with the landing, Chris, but he pulled it out. Looked good in the air, but she just seemed to buckle on the landing. Didn't have her foot securely under her, second-guessed herself, just couldn't get out. toe. Oh, that's a new element for them this year. It was supposed to be triple toe, double toe combination. And again, she's struggling with the landing position.
Chris only did a double to begin with, so.
Proving how difficult it is to watch two people. My eyes were on her. And that's why the technical panel reviews everything in slow motion. A technical specialist and an assistant. One watches the boy, one watches the girl. And then they both talk about it at the end.
Difficult entry. And unfortunately, a difficult landing, too.
Story of the day for poor Alexa. Once that idea gets in your head that it's not quite going your way, it's very difficult to get rid of it.
And this has been such a strong program for them all season long.
Well, when it starts to go bad, and this isn't horrendous, but this is not the skate they were looking for, but it feels as though your concentration is exactly 3 seconds behind you. You're trying to keep up to the music, concentration's behind you, and all of a sudden the element is on top of you, and too late. Called the lasso lift for a good reason. Resembling, of course, the movement of a lasso from a cowboy. And in the men's event, 3 men from the United States skated, 3 men got standing ovations. It really powered the whole event. Great applause, but it isn't what this American team at home was looking for.
Disappointing skate for Alexa Semeka and Chris Knaram of the United States, sitting 7th after the short program. They finished 7th at Worlds last year. We're hoping to do better.
Alexa's been having.
Checking her boot there.
Yep.
And we will have their marks when we return here on CBC. The looks on their faces says it all, and you just saw Alexa say, "I'm sorry." She's stepping off the ice there. Alexa Semeka and Chris Knaram of the United States, the pairs couple who are set to get married this summer as well.
Disappointment is evident. I do believe that this is a program, except for maybe the quad sow right there, that came down a little heavy. I believe the judges did give them the quad sow effort. What they didn't give them was the element of difficulty going in and out of it, which lowered the base value of it down to about 8 points. But then after that, it was kind of a landmine after landmine.
And there's no rhyme or reason sometimes for why programs go that way. You train them, you know, everybody comes to the World Championship fit, trained, ready to compete. And you hope that your preparation will stand you in good stead. But, you know, the nature of skating is that anything can go wrong at any given time. And like we said, if one little mistake happens and you can't put it aside and move forward, it can affect the whole rest of the performance, which is, I think, what happened for poor Alexa today.
Yeah. My father would say to me, just be careful, it's slippery out there.
That's right.
119.54 is what they're looking for to take the lead from the Canadians. And they won't get it. 118.69 will put them behind Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marnaro of Canada. Let's head on over to Scott Russell.
From the faces of tomorrow to here and now, the Russians are coming. Ksenia Stolbova and Fedor Klimov ready to go in Boston at the World Figure Skating Championships on the road to the Olympic Games. Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marinaro, a personal best. You know, when Kurt Browning was commentating on it, he said confidence. When Carol Lane was commentating, she said gutsy. It looks like you two are building something. Am I right?
I hope so. I'm so thrilled for this second chance that we got to prove what a team we are and what a team we can become. And I think this weekend was just a small stepping stone on the way.
How about you, Michael? Put a stamp on your first World Championship and your first together.
We came here on 2 weeks' notice, trying to get 2 personal bests and a top 10 finish, and that is exactly what we did. So it's going to be a good start to our off season and
our second off season,
and we're going to use this competition to build for next year. We're already thinking about September, and we finished 4 minutes ago.
Congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Competing on behalf of Russia, let's welcome to the ice Ksenia Stolova and Fyodor Klimov.
From the Canadian pairs, let's go to the Russians. Ksenia Stolova and Fyodor Klimov, sitting 5th after the short program. We saw her take a little tumble during the warm-up. How much would that get into your head? Or do you know it's warm-up, who cares?
Sometimes it just wakes you up. I mean, you
sharpens you up a bit. Well, maybe she didn't like it, so now she's going to come
People
back.
often ask who's the boss in this partnership, and she's the stall boss. Look at that face. Total concentration.
When they do their pair moves, they are one unit. When they skate on practice and warm up, and even just before they compete, it's like they are 2 completely different entities. But when they get together, it works.
They have so many unique choreographic moves in this program. It captures your interest and holds it from beginning to end. Huge element coming up for them now.
This one can be worth over 10 points, but it's a big risk because all 3 jumps have to work. So they'll give up the last double toe, but not too bad. Still get 8 to 10 points for that.
So secure on the landing of that triple flip. I love the angularity of the modern movement in this program. The choreographer Nikolai Morozov has totally nailed their personalities and the restless intensity they can bring to the ice. Second side-by-side jump. Oh,
No.
Ksenia struggles with the triple sow. And that was where she fell in the warm-up, so that answers your question, Andy.
That's why I asked.
That's right. Another triple sow count, this time in a throw, and no problem with that one. Perhaps she just needed a little help.
She's in the right discipline then. That death spiral was a little slower than it usually is.
The Russian pair of Ksenia Stolbova and Fedor Klimov, their first time on world ice since 2014 when they took the silver. Also, this is their first time going head-to-head with Volosojar and Trenkov, the other Russian pairs team that took gold in Sochi at the Olympics. Who will be the better Russian team here? And right now, the looks on their faces, they're not happy with their free. But we'll see what the judges decide to give them here. We'll have those marks when we return. And then the skate of the Canadians, Moskovich and Ilya Shishkina. Welcome back to Road to the Olympic Games, presented by RBC. There are the Canadians, Megan Duhamel, Eric Radford. They're sitting second after the short program. Their best short program skate of the season. They're feeling pretty good, but perhaps not feeling so good. The Russian pair who we just saw, Stolbova and Klimov.
I love these guys. I
Me
love
too.
the extensions, the long line. When that throw triple flip and she lands it, it's somehow the magic is in her unwrapping of her free leg. It sort of whooshes her out. But actually, they should be, I know they're not because they're perfectionists, ecstatic because Fedor hasn't been able to lift or do twists for months, like 2 months or
they've really
something.
struggled with injuries and shoulders, and
It's a nerve compression, so it was really painful, and they could not train. What they did here was amazing, considering they pulled out of Worlds last year, just 2 weeks before the Worlds, kind of basically to potentially not lose it.
Yeah.
They have a lot of pride. What they did here, they should be proud.
they're a magnificent looking team. You can appreciate everything about them, the technical work, but more for me it's that how well matched they are in skating skills. Every single thing they do has purpose, it matches and looks beautiful.
Two individuals that come together to become one.
116.93, the score they're going to need to beat, and they'll do just that, 140.50 for a total of 214.48. That will put them in the top spot. And now they sit and watch the rest of the skaters, which includes this next pair. Lyubov Ilyashishkina and Dylan Moskovich of Canada. We saw Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marnaro, and we mentioned how Moore-Towers has been here before. It was with Dylan Moskovich, twice finishing 4th at Worlds. And now with his new partner, Lyubov, they are sitting 8th after the short program.
Success today will rely on trust. And I don't mean between Dylan and Lyubov. I mean between Lyubov and Lyubov.
Oh my God. Lyubov was struggling on the warm-up with her side-by-side jumps, but nailed it when it matters.
I think there was a little celebration in that choreographic hug.
Lyubov has some of the most beautiful positions in the air and some of the most original ones that I've ever seen. And a lot of that comes from her. She's very inventive, participates in the choreography. And Dylan just sets her off like a perfect frame.
And very flexible.
A lot of strategy goes into this sport, more than people would ever dream. An interesting moment coming up, the triple Sakow individual effort solo jumps. They're going to plan double or go for triple. The triple wasn't good in warm-up. Looked like she was going to go for the 3. Didn't get it.
Look at the speed Dylan's carrying through that lift.
But how quickly she gets into that position and how easily.
Both doing their jobs to perfection. Oh, she made that look super easy. Look good from here.
It's always amazing. I never know whose job it is, but you can actually slow or speed up your spin to match your partner. That spin was starting to get off, and they brought it back. Nobody does this better than Dylan. The crossover's in the lift.
1 foot.
Strong as an ox, but more handsome. Gotta love this moment. You've earned it.
Lyubomila Shchechkina and Dylan Moskovich of Canada. We saw them meditating together before the skate. Whatever energy they shared, it worked. We will have the Canadians' marks when we return here on CBC Sports. Dylan Moskovich and Lyubomila Shchechkina took to the ice here in Boston for their 3 skates. Last year they were 13th at Worlds. This is only their 2nd season together. Both times ended up on the podium at Nationals, which is why they've earned their spot here, and they're looking good.
Well, the other thing at play is that Canada wants to get 3 spots in the World Championship again next year. So if we can keep our numbers up, if we get all 3 teams in the top 10, we should be able to do it, which would be great for Canadian pairs.
And Lyubov is the perfect pair partner. She has extension, she has the face, she's got everything. Flexibility, she's got guts. What she wasn't having is belief and consistency in her individual efforts on the ice. As soon as she's touching Dylan, everything's go. As soon as she lets go of him, she was inconsistent. Not this week, not at Worlds. She pulled it together. I think she's learned a lot about herself this week.
Well, he looks like he's really patient with her.
He is. But also, throw it out there, Dylan's been really injured with a hip. He didn't want people to know. What happened today was a miracle on both ends. So congratulations, you two.
Well, their season's best is 117.70.
Their free skate score.
Let's see if they can do better than that. Oh, yeah. 131.35. So their total of 199.52 will actually put them in second.
That's a happy little camper sitting right there with Dylan.
Flexing those little muscles.
I did good.
How can you not love that face? The Russians still holding on to the lead, though. Stolbova and Klimov. Here comes another Russian pair.
For Yevgenia Tarasova and Vladimir Morozov.
Evgenia Tarasova, Vladimir Morozov. Their second season of senior competition. This is their second time at Worlds. First time last year, success, a 6th place finish. And that's exactly where they're sitting after the short program as well, 6th. A lot of strong Russian pairs here as well. I know we're talking about the Canadian pairs looking good. All 3 in the top 10 after the short. But the Russians are here too.
Another team who struggled with injury this year. It seems to be a common thread throughout the pairs event.
Yeah, we've really noticed.
Yes. Chinese, both Russian teams. Dylan's hip. It's so tough. Pairs is the toughest discipline on your body, for sure. That went up and then up again.
I think that's strength for sure, but it's really timing. Just a quality deduction, putting the hand down by Vlad. One of the rare moments when the 3-jump combo for 2 people, that's 6 jumps that have to go well. Works. Release move, throw triple loop. It's what the Chinese teams do so well, but Evgenia's like, I can do it too.
The death spiral was an element that tripped up a lot of teams yesterday, losing levels because they didn't do enough rotations or they weren't low enough. And I think that might be a problem for this team again today. Looked a little short to me. Beautiful position in the air on that throw triple sow. Her feet were so tight and body so straight.
That is a gorgeous position. Their choreographers sometimes will scour the internet for dance-driven lifts over and over again, trying to find an image that might work for their team. That one did. Very cute little exit from that lift. The lifts have not had the speed across the ice that this team has been showing in practice. That'll show up in the grade of execution score, those extra little bonus marks that the judges like to reward, if the skater lets them.
Two-time European bronze medalists, Evgenia Tarasova, Vladimir Morozov of Russia. Looking a little winded, but she's not.
Oh, the girls are tough. The boys are the
the
complainers.
He did all the lifting, but that's okay.
Classic Russian look, don't they?
They do. I mean, they don't have the same feeling. They don't give you the same feeling of power as Stolber Klimov.
No.
But they have a delicacy in their approach and the way they tackle things. And the program was exquisitely put together to, as you say, to show off all of those little moments that they created, the exquisite lines, the finish on the throws and exits of the jumps, just beautiful.
What a smile she has that wasn't in the program anywhere. I feel like they are on the verge of being able to not only do these great pair elements and the stroking and all the things that go with it, but they'll be able to step up into the echelon of going, and I've got this for you as well, like that extra layer of expression. But right now it's all business. Oh, and airtime. Does she get flyer mileage points for that?
She should do, yes, air miles. Yeah, they just lack a tiny bit in an identity that sets them apart, so that when you hear, oh, Tarasova Morozov, you kind of know what you're going to get. They've got a brand. It's not, they're great skaters, everything's there, but they're not quite memorable yet.
Well,
just
they should have gathered a lot of confidence from this World Championships. They're beautiful, they're expressive.
This was so clever.
She had a few positions in her lifts that were really creative and special, the kind that you would make a statue out of. Just not the speed coming out of their lifts. And I think that that's one of the key elements of a great team. Flow out of the throws, flow out of the lifts. Speaking of throws, Salchow, a little on the inside edge of her foot, but she's so strong, doesn't matter.
And I'll just do a little spread eagle right afterwards, just to make it look
just to show the judges that I
because I can.
Well, it's another Russian team holding on to the lead right now. If they want to take that spot from them, they're going to need a score of 142.48. So what will this second Russian pair get? 134.27. They don't bump the Russians out of the top spot, but they will put themselves nicely right behind them. At 206.27, they are in second. Let's head on over to Scott.
Lubov and Dylan, a great job at the World Championships. It's a top 10 finish. We know that for sure. Tell us about your performance out there tonight.
We're pretty happy with the performance. We worked through the program very well, one thing at a time. And yeah, we're happy. We showed the job we've done that far. And it's a good check mark to show to finish the season.
And Dylan, looks like this partnership continues to grow, and you did the team job as well, hopefully getting Canada 3 to the next World Championships.
It looks that way. You know, we came here knowing that was a piece of information that was in our heads, but at the same time, it was not our focus. And we're just thrilled that we did our job, and as a result, we managed to help the country and the skating team, and you know, we're very proud of ourselves.
Congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Well, there's definitely a lot on the line. You want to do well, you want to look ahead to the next Worlds, but when you step on the ice, you have to focus on yourself, and that's what Megan and Eric are going to be doing.
Welcome Welcome back to Boston and the World Figure Skating Championships on CBC, presented by RBC. And just a reminder, next week we begin our coverage of Canadian Olympic trials, the swimming trials and the diving trials. You can catch it all online at cbcsports.ca, as well as next weekend on Road to the Olympic Games. Well, we're back inside the Garden, and the final flight in the pairs free program on the ice, including the world champions Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford of Canada, had an interesting talk with their coach Richard Gauthier a few minutes ago. And Richard said, you know, as senior skaters, Megan and Eric have learned to focus on things other than results. When he first came to them, he said that they were all preoccupied with the end of the story. And now, as they gain perspective, they focus on the continuing narrative. He says they live inside a bubble and they feed off each other. And after all, they are world champions. All right, let's go back to Andy, Carol, and Kurt.
Thank you, Scott. Here's a look at the order of skate. The leader, the pair from China, Sui and Han. Yes, the defending world championships, Duhamel and Radford. Sevchenko, Massot of Germany. We all know Sevchenko, 2 Olympic bronze medalists. She wants gold. She's definitely the more experienced of that pair. And she wants another shot at 2018. And of course, the 2014 Olympic gold medalists, Volosojar and Trankov. But how about this pair from China?
Well, they were picture perfect yesterday. It was an absolutely magical performance. We've heard that Sui is injured, you know, her ankle is hanging on by a thread, but certainly didn't look like it yesterday.
No, and she has a smoldering intensity to her presentation that has grown over the years, and it just was all there yesterday.
Megan Duhamel, Eric Radford, we talk about that quad they have, which has been in their arsenal. Everyone trying to keep up with them, but they kept up with themselves in the short program, which is why they're feeling pretty good.
Well, yes, I mean, it was a much better skate than they had been having, and they were certainly very thrilled at the end of it. Megan was like, finally, we did it. She just did a beautiful triple Lutz on the warm-up by herself. To me, that's their money jump. If they get the side-by-side triple jumps, there's so much points there, because they're the only ones to do that Lutz.
And there is Sevchenko with her new partner, Massot. As we mentioned, he knows all eyes are on him, just constantly going to compare him to her former partner.
Are you kidding? In that outfit, you think all eyes are on him, right? Okay.
Well, no, those were his words. But yes, perhaps he does need a bit of a reality check himself. And then Volosojar, Trankov admitting that this feels like their first ever World, which was back in 2011, because, of course, they took last year off. They actually haven't been to the World since 2013 when they won it. So it also just goes to show how nerve-wracking it can be for even an experienced pair like that.
And actually, just to put fuel on the fire, their warm-up has not been smooth, and he looks a little flustered.
And the warm-up is ending here for the first flight. Megan and Eric will now go and do what they need to do to stay sharp. But first up, the leaders after the short program.
Please welcome to the ice,
Wei Jingsui, Zhang Han. It was emotional for them at Worlds last year. It was held in China. They did get on the podium. They took silver. But now they don't want to give up this top spot.
They've been on the world scene as juniors for so long. I feel that the skating world has a long, enduring relationship with this team.
They are 3-time world junior champions. They'd like to add senior to that title as well.
Their program choreographed by Canadian Laurie Nicol to Samson and Delilah.
Did I mention smoldering intensity?
A little bit.
They attack. They always have as juniors. They have not stopped as seniors. Injuries, who cares? They're going for it. They are going to try the quad twist as well. Very nice.
triple toe, double toe, perfect.
The next element
It's going to be the knee trembler.
will be a throw, quad sow. They have not been practicing it in the music. They only practice it out of the music, and it has not been very consistent. Do they think they need it? Are they going to go for it? Four and a fall.
Look to be fully rotated, which will help.
Remind everybody that rotating a jump, taking a fall is sometimes worth more than not trying it at all. Lovely arms.
You said yesterday they're not a big team in stature, not your typical physicality of a pair team, but they skate big, they fill the arena. Every movement has value.
Chills.
Wei Jingsui and Cheng Han of China leading after the short program. Will they get enough marks to hold on?
Once again from China, Wei Jingsui and Cheng Han.
A lot of fans in the building for this Chinese pair. We will find out where they stand shortly. But watching them, they weren't hiding, was the Canadian pair. They're up next. Welcome back to Boston, here inside the Garden, the 2016 World Figure Skating Championships. The Chinese pair, Sui and Han. After their great short program yesterday, they were asked about their chemistry on the ice. She said, he's like my father. He doesn't stop talking, constantly yapping in my ear.
I think he said it was She's like a cousin. She also said that she's inspired by the choreography and the music, and that is our connection for skating and everything. And you can see that. No loss of the program anywhere. In the last few seconds, they just made you drool for more. The only mistakes were the throw, and then so all the sow cows.
Yeah, basically.
The throw and the individual.
They have that superior connection that only comes from being together for years. And like you said, we watched them through the junior ranks when they did their, I remember they did a cowboy western number.
Yeah, can't forget that.
No, it was fabulous. But you know, to watch them have grown up and become this team is incredible.
But they may have left the decision to Megan and Eric about who will be world champions.
They may indeed.
They have left the door open a little bit, and with that jam-packed program done perfectly, they might have closed that door, but not quite today.
But it was not a perfect skate. They're going to need 133.64 to take the lead from the Russian pair, holding on to that right now.
A great skate.
And they'll do just that. He's a little surprised, but I'm sure happy. 143.62 will put them in the lead. But again, have they given themselves enough of a cushion so the Canadians cannot catch them? I don't know. Canadians are the defending world champions. I don't think they want to give that title up too easily. And that's the Russian pair that's now gone down to second.
They're really getting to know those couches, aren't they?
Why can't they just keep moving over?
They're here representing Canada. Let's welcome
Okay, we see smiles already. What does that tell you about how they're feeling, body language? Because I always look at the face, and sometimes you can tell when they're in character, when they're tense, or when they're completely relaxed.
We'll tell you in 4.5 minutes.
I was going to say, I don't know. Two elements for them are the make or break elements. Side by side, difficult choice for individual jumps, the triple Lutz.
Nailed it.
Love that subtle change of direction, that little edge to the left, little edge to the right. Staying calm. You can do it at home, you can do it here. Quad, sow, throw.
Yes! So the smile was good then.
All that clean living, all that time in the gym, that tough landing, you needed all of it. She pulled it out. Megan can't hold her emotions to herself off the ice. Why do it on the ice? She's celebrating.
The audience has been waiting for a performance to get behind, and Megan and Eric are delivering it.
Oh, Canada, you might have just done it again. Megan Duhamel and Eric Bradford, the reigning world champions, thanking the crowd, pushing them along, helping them possibly retain that title. The Canadians' marks when we return here on CBC. Welcome back to the World Figure Skating Championships presented by RBC.
How did he just do that? How did we just do that? I can't
Megan
believe
doesn't have her poker face on today.
I was like, I don't even know
They
how
started the warm-up facing each other. She said, I want to feel connected to Eric today. And boy, were they ever. There was a calm and a fluidity to the whole skate. And I love when Megan starts to celebrate before the program's over. And then she pulled it back into the program, staying professional.
And the mark of a true champion is that no matter what's gone before, no matter how you feel, you produce it in the big moments.
And she does work so much harder than any other skating athlete that I know of. And that throw quad sow was landed on a very low knee. And that's when the celebration started for Megan.
I love how there's almost this look of disbelief. Did we just do that?
You know, but again, Eric is the rock that allows her to do that. Look at him. He's like, it's like the puppy in the St. Bernard, you know? He's just
and
right there.
Here are the faces we were telling you about the other day. But those are the real ones, although his has a blue steel look, yeah?
Okay, there it is. The show on the ice was pretty good, but Richard and Bruno were doing a pretty good show at the end of the ice.
They certainly were.
Yeah.
146.29, the score they're looking to beat. 153.81 as season's best for the Canadians, 231.99. Yeah, they're in first place. The Chinese pair left the door open. We've seen this before. We saw it with the men.
You got to be careful, because then someone will just kick it open a little bit more. And in this case, the defending world champions did just that.
They're here competing on behalf of Germany. How about a warm welcome now for Alonia Savchenko and Bruno Masson.
Alonia Savchenko, Bruno Masson of Germany. She is a 5-time world champion, 2-time Olympic bronze medal winner. Got herself a new partner because she wants to go to her 4th Olympics to finally claim gold. And their journey begins now, their first world championships together.
Bringing a little bit of a different vibe to the ice with the long program, choreographed by Canadian blade master Gary Beacom. The height on that is incredible. She was waving at us, you know, when she did that.
Bending down low on the second triple toe to refire. Both skaters very clean through that jumping gauntlet. It looked good, but they just gave away a few points, having not rotated that Salchow into a triple version. Beautiful inside death spiral. Gorgeous line, creative. Very hard entrance into that with the hop forward.
Beautiful picture from Aliona in the lift. That was a beautiful moment. It looked so simple, but it's very, very difficult to do with that much control.
That looked like a move you might see in the dance event.
It did.
Not the pairs. Exact replica of the short program, a 2-foot landing on the throw.
She said after the short it was almost too high and she couldn't feel where the landing was to get her other foot out. It looked like exactly the same problem today. And of course that's typical of being a new team. Sometimes your timing isn't quite exactly how you want it to be.
No complaint about the lifts, and good speed coming out of this one. The middle section of that program was starting to slow down. A nice churning modern feel to this program. It's not ramping up for me though.
But they are an interesting team. I mean, for the first year together, they almost have no competitive record for us to go by. They've hardly done anything this year. So it will be very interesting to see how they look next year with a full season of big competition behind them.
Aliona likes doing this throw late in the game because she knows she can.
The Germans, Aliona Shevchenko, Bruno Massot, a new team. They did claim their national title this year, silver at Europeans, but this is their first Worlds together. They'll have their marks when we return. Here's the new pair from Germany. Aliona Massot awaiting their score. 157.77 is what they're going to need to beat to take the lead. 141.95. They will not take the top spot. They'll take third, not back for the first World Championships together. So the worst they can do at their first Worlds together is fourth. One more pair to go.
They're here representing Russia. How about a nice Austin welcome for Tatiana Volosova and Maxim Trenkov.
Tatiana Volosova, Maxim Trenkov of Russia, 2014 gold medalist, 2013 world champions, but they haven't been here since 2013. They're sitting third after the short program.
Well, the current leaders, Canadians Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford, came into this competition knowing there were 3 more top-level teams here in 2016. They're already ahead of 2 of them, 1 more to skate, and it's this one.
Slightest correction on the catch of that twist. And since it's only a 1-point difference between them and the Canadians, everything counts.
Oh.
Ooh.
They don't have the big ticket item, the quad throw, in their bag of tricks. They're relying instead on the quality of their other pair elements. But if things are not perfect, that can backfire on them very quickly. Nice side-by-side triple toes.
Perfect.
Oh. Again, almost slightly too high. She got her foot under, and then there was just that rebound effect where she tried to check out on her landing. Tatiana and Max not the only skaters in the World Championship who are finding that coming back after taking a year or so off is not an easy thing to do.
It's like there's a party going on and you came late.
That's right.
Careful. You have to remember there's a conversation going on in your head when you're competing. You're fighting for a world title. Oh, maybe now I'm fighting for silver. Oh, maybe now I'm fighting for the podium. And after all, you just end up fighting. They gave the audience too much, the judges too much to think about. They're going to have to review a lot of elements. As you could see, very slow at the end. It was just, you know, it wasn't building momentum. It wasn't one shiny moment towards the next shiny moment for one big gossamer pitcher. It just was muddied.
And losing steam as they came towards the end.
Yeah.
And Max actually does look really exhausted. And again, you know, you take a break, the world moves on, you come back, you try to get in the swim. And
well, the Canadians, you can see to the right of your screen there, they don't want to say it just yet. But I think they know they're keeping that title as the Russians just skated. Tatiana Volosojar, Maxim Trankov. In their comeback year, they managed to win nationals again and Euros again after pulling out of the Grand Prix season because of injury once again. That's also been hampering them. We talked about Max's shoulder surgery last season and how he said it took him longer than expected to come back. And either way, it's not easy to come back.
The deductions, quite a few of them were there. The computer just doesn't know that you were an Olympic champion. That said, it also can't take away that medal from you. So
that's right.
Just back on the edge, back on the heel. Nailed it in the short program.
And I don't know if we'll ever see a quad throw from them.
Well, Max has been very vocal about the fact that he, you know, thinks it's very, very hard on the lady, and he doesn't envision doing it with his wife at all.
Well, we were talking an awful lot about how this pack of skaters has been riddled with injuries.
Yes.
It's been a long season. These guys skate and compete more than my generation.
Absolutely.
They're really moving from one continent to the next continent and trying to keep their...
And the tricks have gotten harder and harder.
Well, this is going to be the moment of truth because these are the final skaters. The Canadians right now sitting in that top spot looking for their second straight World Championship title. The Russians are going to need, well, it's going to be a big one, 154.86. Their season's best is 142.89. Granted, it was a shortened season as well. So here's the moment of truth. Will it be Canada or will it be Russia?
Now look at the faces left and right, and
their pre-skating score.
I think the Russians are telling you the answer. It will not be enough. That will be their worst finish at a World Championship. 6th place for Volosojar and Trankov, the 2014 Olympic champions. And the Canadians know they have another world title. Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford, who brought the crowd to their feet. And once again, the Canadian flags are out in full effect in Boston.
road to the Olympic Games is brought to you by RBC, proud supporter of the Olympic movement in Canada. Welcome back to the World Figure Skating Championships from Boston on CBC. You want emotion? There's emotion. Megan Duhamel talking to Eric Radford. They're the World Pairs Champions again. First Canadians to win back-to-back World Pairs titles in more than half a century. You skated with great emotion, but great control. How did you manage to do that?
Training. I have absolutely no idea right now. Yesterday, I felt so aggressively focused. I was so sure we were going to do a good short. Today, I think Eric and I were a little bit more nervous, but we came to this competition so prepared. Our bodies knew what to do, and we needed to trust it. And as soon as the music started, I think we both just let go, and we allowed ourselves to be in the moment. And that's something that we worked so hard through our entire career to be able to be in the moment the way that we were tonight. And that's what creates magic.
What's the lasting impression for you? Was this a testament to hard work, talent, or the moons aligning?
I think it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B, and a little bit of C. I think that, we worked really, really hard. Sometimes it pans out the way you want it to. It didn't quite pan out the way you wanted to during the season, but we just have to put all of that behind us. We know that all that matters is this moment, and it's like that for every athlete. But I think what's really special for us was being able to give that performance at the World Championships when it counted the most, and on top of that, being able to share that with the incredible audience here in Boston. Congratulations to you both. It was great to watch. You're champions again. Thank you. That's our lasting impression, Andy. Up to you.
Well, Scott, it seems people around here don't lock their doors. They're leaving them wide open, and that's exactly what Sway and Han did. Duhamel, Radford were second after the short program, but they burst through to capture their second world title. And how great was it there to see the other two Canadian teams in the top 10? Things looking good for Canadian pairs, but how about Megan and Eric?
Well, Eric said that Megan was screaming her head off in the last lift, making it maybe easier to carry her. Congratulations to them. The first year you're the world champion, it's hard to digest everything. Now they have another year to enjoy it. Awesome.
What a great night for Canada. Kirsten and Michael, Dylan and Luba, congratulations. And don't forget Julianne and Charlie at home because they're injured. But Canadian pairs is in great hands.
And we have you in great hands when it comes to sports. We have the Canadian Olympic and Para Trials, April 5th to the 10th, live streaming on cbcsports.ca. That's 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern nightly. And then we end it all tomorrow, the final title to be handed out, and it's in ladies, 2 p.m. local time. We'll see you then.